So today I'm going to be taking a look at the Windows 10 and Lumia Camera apps, starting with the Lumia Camera app. So interface we are very familiar with here in Windows Phone. We've got the rich capture, we've got the quick access edit to all the different settings that you might want to use if you're going into manual mode. You've got focus, shutter speed, ISO, and so on and so forth. In the top left you can go and view your recent photos. This is the last one I took with Lumia Camera app. And you can edit your rich capture, artistic, natural, no HDR, customize, go crazy if you really want to. So I kind of like that. It doesn't tell you personal preference. And then here we go into the Windows 10 camera app, which one of the things with the Universal app, it uses the DPI a lot better, so it takes up less of the screen there. So when you pull out for the manual settings, it only takes up half the screen, rather than taking up almost 2/3 in the previous app, which we'll have a look at here. Quick peek of the old DPI, high DPI multitasking here. So on the left you've got Lumia Camera, which takes up 2/3, and the Windows Camera, which takes up half of it. Now that does not make up for downsides for using the Lumia Windows Camera app, unfortunately. So it does take the settings which you previously, like rich capture, stays on when I close an app and open it. It doesn't always do that with the Lumia Camera app. It's been quite flaky over time. But then looking through into the last taken pictures here, so this is one here, we do not seem to have any live image, we do not seem to have any HDR options or any kind of thing like that, which you would expect from the Lumia Camera app, which is supposed to be being integrated into Windows 10 Camera app. It is a beta though, so there could be that. So again here, no option to edit the HDR. And zooming in, we can see that some pixelation here, which is disappointing. I wouldn't have thought it to be quite that pixelated, even just one time, so it doesn't look as great as I would have thought so from a Lumia 930. Moving over into the Lumia Camera app, you can see straight away we've got some of the HDR, and zooming in, the pixelation is nowhere near as bad. We will look into this in detail in just a moment though. Now let's go and have a look at the settings for each app just to show you what I was using when taking these. So looking here straight away in Lumia Camera app, I feel this looks a bit dated compared to some of the newer apps. It's taking up a lot of the screen to show very little information. So I'm using 5 megapixel and 16 megapixel capture here. I do not tend to use a DNG option. It is nice to have, but I tend to edit the things on the phone rather than in post on another application. Now when we go over to the Windows 10 Camera app, one of the better things about this is the interface. Personally, I like how it takes up less of the screen, and you can see here I'm using a 16 megapixel picture, which is strange considering the pixelation we saw, but we will go into that in detail. I'm also using living images, as you can see there at the bottom of the screen now. And yeah, we still don't have over 30 FPS. That's going to be a hardware thing with the 930, I imagine. Hopefully we'll get that in some of the newer phones. Taking a look at the files which are created by the two different applications. So for the top 5 files there, all created by Lumia Camera app: high res, rich image, and the rich capture files, nearly 16.5 megabytes. All this can be used to create any form of HDR out of the image that you take. Now, the Windows camera is only doing 325 kilobytes. This must be a bug. It's supposed to be a 16 megapixel image. Unfortunately, that doesn't seem to be the case. So we're going to go now and have a look at the difference between quality between the different images using Adobe Lightroom. So looking here in Adobe Lightroom at the two different images, on the left we have the Lumia Camera image taken with rich capture. On the right we have the Windows 10 image taken also with rich capture. Apparently, clearly, that is not the case. So using here we can do a comparison. We can zoom in on a particular point and we can see the difference in quality on each thing. So if we choose this point of the roof here and zoom in, straight away we can see there's different sizes of megapixels. That is not a 16 megapixel on the right, regardless of it being so in the settings. So I don't know if it's easy for you guys to tell. We might zoom in a bit more here in a second. That it's just the quality is not there. You can actually see the detail on the antenna. You can see that there is, there's actually a square. You can see almost the different bits in the center there. Over on the right hand side, it's just an absolute mess of pixels. It's just undistinguishable. You could make out what it is knowing what it is, but no, the quality is not there, which is a real shame. I like how the application looks in the Windows 10 camera. It's just looking over here, the size in the detail there. You can see on the car, you can't quite make out a license plate, but it's decent enough. Just looking around as well, just the fact that you can use the rich capture is great. Now let's just compare the Lumia Camera app and the 16 megapixel and the 5 megapixel. They do a good job in turning all the data into 5 megapixel image, you wouldn't really need in most scenarios to use the 16 megapixel, although it is ever so slightly better. You can see a little bit more finer detail if you really need to. This was a very clouded day today, so there is a small amount of noise coming out here, if not a large amount of noise. But, one-on-one here on the pixels, yeah, it looks alright. Yeah, that's not too bad. All in all, I think using the Windows 10 camera, when they finally squash all these bugs, when they finally go around and they, add all the features in and make it so you can use your live images, you can use your rich capture, you can edit your HDR on the fly, then it'll be usable, and the interface is nice. I like the Windows 10 style menus on the right hand side where you can go down and you can select other things while you still got it. It just feels nice. It doesn't feel like you're going into some old clunky menu, which I know some people like the Windows Phone interface, but it's just a bit too big on these large screens we have nowadays. So all in all, keep an eye on it. I think keep an eye on the Windows 10 app. Maybe I'm going to be testing it now and again, and I will find out as soon as we can actually use full sound images. But for the meanwhile, get hold of that Lumia Camera app. It'll be on the store. Look through your purchased applications. It will be down on the menu on the left-hand side. You'll be able to get any application you previously bought. Anyway, thank you for watching. Cheers.